Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden. Well, actually, we're going on a little bit of a field trip today. I decided not to do my Show Me Your Garden series this year, and I'm kind of regretting that decision. For the past couple years, I've done a series where I've asked you all to send me in videos of your gardens, and I love seeing other people's gardens. I love going to do garden tours. I love watching them on YouTube, but I just decided not to do it this year just for a change, and I'm really regretting that decision. So I'll probably start that series again next year, but I do have one Show Me Your Gardens this year. It's from a gardener. Her name is Samantha Miller. Probably a lot of you already follow her and subscribe to her on YouTube. If you don't, head over there because she has the most beautiful garden. She lives in Tennessee, I think East Tennessee, Zone 7B, and her garden is so romantic. That's the only way that I can describe it. It is the most romantic garden. It is so Pinterest worthy. She has all the hydrangeas, beautiful fountains, beautiful topiaries, beautiful greenhouse. It is just so incredibly gorgeous. It's a beautiful garden, and she invited me to come see her garden. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be making it to Tennessee anytime soon, but I asked her if she could send me a video of a garden tour that I could share with all of you, and she said yes. So huge thank you to Samantha. Take a look at her East Tennessee Zone 7B garden. It is a sight to see.
Hi Janie, welcome to my garden. My name is Samantha Miller and I live in East Tennessee Zone 7B with my husband and our 6 kids here on this property. We purchased this property 5 years ago and have been renovating and working it ever since. This house was an absolute disaster when we got it. There was zero landscaping, I mean zero, bare dirt, nothing to look at. I had this dream of creating beautiful cottage gardens throughout the property, and I've been doing it ever since, and I want to share it with you. So I'm going to start the tour up here on the front porch. This is the pathway leading down across our driveway to the cottage garden. But I've got hydrangeas all over the place in bloom right now. I love having them this time of year. We just redid the front flower beds to add the bobo hydrangeas that you see right there. But then I've got the limelight standard hydrangeas on each corner of the driveway as well. These massive shrubs that I have are actually baptisia. They're perennials. I have 6 of them, 3 on each side of the driveway. And I love how they come up with the beautiful purple spikes in the spring, but then turn into these really massive, almost like shrubs this time of year. I think they just look really pretty. I've lined the driveway with Helen von Stein lamb's-ear, and that's worked out pretty well for me. I've had tons and tons of rain, so my hedge of limelight hydrangeas down by the wood line is pretty heavy. They're full of water. They're quite flopped, but they're still gorgeous from a distance. This is one side entering into the cottage garden. I put a lot of vinca in this year and tried to do drifts of the pink, and then I have some purple that circle around. I've got a few cosmos blooming. I've got some cleome going down the pathway. Here's a drift of the purple vinca on this side. And then the limelight hydrangea standard. I've got some double pink knockout roses, more cleome. Going down this direction, my husband built this arbor for me. We have it covered in wisteria, and it's beautiful purple blooms in the spring. He also just built this bridge for me this year. We've done a lot of hardscape work. He's done a lot of projects along with this grapevine arbor that you see here. We just went out into the woods and found this. We have 32 acres here on the property, and so it was fun going and scavenging for the grapevines. That's our vegetable garden. We're not even going to talk about that. We're not going in there because it's scary. You can see I've just turned around on our main path, and that's our kitty Claudia right there. You see the house in the distance and our greenhouse way back in there. We'll head that way to the formal garden and courtyard in a little bit. But I just planted out the little lime punch hydrangeas on each side of my vegetable garden. I transplanted some more Helen Bonstein lamb's ear dotted throughout here. Have more cleome that's in bloom. I just think the cleome is so pretty. I love the pink especially. I have a pufferfish hydrangea right here that's blooming out. It's not flopped too bad. I think these blooms are a little airier so they don't hold as much water, so they can handle all that rain better. This is a chaste tree. It is just going out of bloom, but this is one of the first things that I planted in this area. It was actually just planted in the grass before I created my beds, but I love this tree, also known as a vitex tree. You can see the blooms here. They're absolutely gorgeous. I love it so much. It's gotten huge. It was tiny when I bought it, and I love having that structure. But this is just a fun little meandering path. I still am doing a lot of work on it, trying to add things to make it even more full and beautiful every year. I've got a little loropetalum that I stuck in here. I've got some pufferfish hydrangea blooms laying on it right now. I've got a spirea on this side of the pathway, some catmint that's out of bloom, and then another spirea I transplanted here because they had gotten too close together, and so I had to make room for my path. There's been so much editing and revision of the garden because it's so new, and when I got started I didn't know what I was doing at all. And so I've moved plants around constantly. I'd say I move my plants as much as I move my furniture in the house, and it's helped me to learn what works and what doesn't, and I'm totally comfortable doing that. It does not bother me one bit to move a plant because I want to make sure that the gardens become exactly what I want them to be and exactly what my vision is. So this little section that we're heading over to right here is brand new. We installed this last year, my husband and I haven't done a whole lot with it because I want a lot of these plants to grow in before I add too much more, because they are all going to get so big. I think they're going to fill out and not have to put much else. But this is one of our entrances into the vegetable garden. This is a grapevine arbor that we created again, but I don't want to focus on the vegetable garden too much because it's super overgrown. But I've got some Silver King euonymus. I have a peony right here. And then we just have this Kusa dogwood tree behind the bench that we planted here last year. The bench, the bird bath, all of that is just really pretty hardscape, and I just love this area even though it's not nearly mature. I just planted this eclipse hydrangea here this year. It was a rescue plant. I got it on clearance. It was looking really rough, pretty much dead, and I wasn't sure if it was going to do well in this spot because the only sun it gets is in the mid-afternoon. But look at the blooms. It's got such healthy foliage. I think it's a perfect plant for this spot, at least so far. And being the first year and not showing any signs of stress or burn, I have high hopes for this. It's so pretty. But we just had a heavy rain last night, so if you see my flowers all flopped and wet, it's because of that. But I have a dry creek bed here that was so helpful during the flooding. It was well utilized. But I have some really pretty pink phlox under this trace tree lining the creek bed, and I just love that. It's so gorgeous in the spring when it puts out its first flush, but then it continues to flush for me throughout the season. Now this is a fun barberry. It's the Sunjoy pillar barberry, I believe, and I love having the pops of lime and then the limelight hydrangeas in the distance. I think that's just so pretty. Back up to the house, and we are going to circle around to a different section. So this outer edge of the garden takes us all the way over to the garden house. This is where our dry creek bed begins. And I love having the structure of the arbor for the vegetable garden, the stepping stones, the dry creek bed with the bridge, and then the white arbor with the wisteria. I just think this little spot is so charming. And then this area I just expanded out. It was a very shallow bed, but I've pulled things out. I've added some geranium and some vinca right here in the front. They're annuals here for us. I've got some little butterfly bushes, a lime spirea. There's a lot of roses in the back that bloom out in the spring. They do a little bit of rebloom throughout the season. But I loaded this bed up with gomphrena because it was a brand new bed and I wanted to fill all of the space. And they have gotten so big and so tall and taken over some of the shrubs that I planted out here as well, but I just think it's so pretty. I love gomphrena. So we've got these 3 little dahlia plants here in the front, and then you can see I did plant out some touch of gold hollies that are going to be evergreen for us. We did 4 of those. They're so yellow right now. I love it in the contrast with the green. So there's number 3. And there's number 4. So they're really small, but they're going to get a little bit bigger. Nothing huge because they are at the front of the border. Something else I planted out are these little quick fire hydrangeas. Hydrangeas do so well for us here and I love them. They're going to get about 4 to 5 foot tall and wide, I believe, but they're really small, hiding under all of the gomphrena right now. But just putting them in the ground this season, they've done really well. They've had lots of blooms, they've put on lots of growth, and I just think they're so pretty. I've got lots of opening act phlox right here. I've got a pink chiffon rose of Sharon. Again, everything is just very wet. I've been wanting to do this tour for you for so long, but with all the flooding and everything that we had going on, it's been so hard to get out here. And I thought, I gotta do it. I gotta do it today, rain or shine. So I've got some echinacea and then some agastache that I have planted behind the echinacea. This is another one of our entrances to the vegetable garden, one of the grapevine arches that my husband and I built together. And then I've got more agastache over here. Another spirea that's putting on a little bit of a rebloom. I love having all of the lime green in the garden because we are kind of in a bowl. We're in a bowl here and everything is just solid green around us, so having the different color foliage helps tremendously just to bring some interest into the garden. This right here is a 9-bark that I planted last year and it is getting really tall. I stuck this little body form mannequin out here. I want to grow some clematis or something up it, but I just haven't got it planted out yet. But I think it's so pretty. I love it here in my cottage garden. This area got flooded so bad. You can see that some of the mulch is brown, some of the grass is brown and muddy from where it all flooded here recently. But we're going to have to work on all of that because I definitely don't want to lose all of my plants. This flower bed we put in last year. My husband planted a bunch of tomatoes along the fence line where our goats live, back behind this flower bed. That's their field. And I mulched the tomatoes for him, and then I proceeded to create larger beds and start planting flowers. And so now I have this beautiful garden along the fence line. No more tomatoes. The tomatoes are staying in the vegetable garden this year. And so I gained a whole new bed, and everything that you see here was just planted out last year. So the yard here is where the kids play, so we're not going to do anything with this. This is a little haughty hydrangea that I have here on the corner. Some of the hydrangeas that you saw as I walked through, those are incredible hydrangeas with drift roses in between them. It's our entrance into the goat field. Now this is what I call our garden house. It is actually our goat house, and it looked really bad and dilapidated, and just this summer my husband and I started working on fixing it up, and it looks so much better now than it did. We built the lattice gates to cover all of our junk because we store our kids' bicycles and stuff in there, and then all the goat feed and stuff. And we had a porch that was falling down. My husband rebuilt the porch. We added all of this stone with the white mortar just last week, and it looks so much better. I added some plants, and actually I got most of these plants on clearance and was super excited to find those. I've got the topiaries back here with the lighting. We still need to paint the door and do a few more things to this garden house, but I love it so much. It's so beautiful and has been such a transformation and a focal point for the garden now. So over here is my shade garden, and I love how it has filled in. It's got so many beautiful hydrangeas and hosta. We've got some astilbe. I've got a viburnum in the back behind the bench, some brunnera, and just lots of really beautiful shade plants. This is an area I'm not going to focus on too much because I haven't gotten in here and done any weeding recently, but this is just a small flower bed along our driveway, and my husband works out of that building up there. It was just a shed. We built a deck off of it, painted it black, and now it's just a really nice man cave. And we put some drift roses out here. We have this chimenea, and then I planted out some white pillar rose of Sharon's back behind it. And this limelight hydrangea is the first year it's been in the ground here, as well as the rose of Sharon's. We just planted these out this year. And so these are all going to grow up and frame out the building behind it. And then I've got a couple more rose of Sharon's on this side. So it's just going to be a really beautiful little spot. But this is heading up to the woods, and most of our property is back that direction. So it just gives your eye something to look at as you're driving up the driveway. All right, we are going to head to the formal garden now. We just installed this last fall, early spring. We built the sidewalk, this pathway we put in last fall, and I planted out the tater tot arborvitaes. And then this spring I put in the compact hollies and all the other plants that you're about to see. But this looked nothing like this at all. It was just really bad weeds and grass. We couldn't hardly get anything to grow over here. But this is it now, and I love it so much. It's so beautiful. Such a fun place to be. I've got some white drift roses in here, climbing roses on the wall, little haughty hydrangeas behind the seating, some more Helen Bonstein lamb's ear, liatris that is done blooming. This bed is just getting started, so I don't know exactly how it'll turn out in the end, but I love it. I love the structure of the tater tot arborvitaes, the structure of our fountain, the seating, just everything is so perfect, and I just think it's so beautiful. The topiaries. So I've got a few containers here, and this is my bloomstruck hydrangea in this container. I've loved it this year. It's done really well. This is my little lime hydrangea. It's flopped over horribly, but it's still really beautiful, and I'm hoping that with time, this is only its second year in the ground, I'm hoping that it will do better for us next year as the stems get stronger. But we've had so much rain. But this is our greenhouse my husband and I built 3 years ago probably now. We've just finished it up recently, but I love having the greenhouse. It's been so nice to be able to grow seeds in there. This is my poor white wedding hydrangea. I have one on each side of the greenhouse, and they're so flopped over. But then I have a Summer Sensation standard hydrangea back in there with some sting arborvitaes that are going to grow up really tall and skinny. And then back in the very back, my husband installed this stone wall that you see. This was all just red clay, but we have incredible hydrangeas going all the way back that direction, and they were just planted this spring, so they're going to get really big and beautiful as time goes on. But man, they are awesome, awesome hydrangeas, and they have not flopped a bit. So a couple more topiaries in these containers right here. I've got some clematis and blanket flower in the container next to them. They're starting to bloom out again. They were covered this spring, and it was so beautiful. My other white wedding hydrangea right there, another sting arborvitae, so everything matches on each side of the greenhouse. More of our incredible hydrangeas up here on the hillside. And my husband finished this stone wall just this summer, like a couple weeks ago. He finished putting the stairs up to the top of the hill. He finished the stone wall leading all the way back behind our gas tank. We mulched it, and our mulch surprisingly has held with all of the flooding that we've had, which has been awesome. Eventually, the emerald green arborvitaes will cover the gas tank completely. So this whole area is going to get redone. We're going to have pea gravel pathway going through instead of grass, and then just small flower beds on each side, and just keep it really simple and formal, and more of the incredible hydrangeas up on the other side of the hill where we haven't planted them yet. And it's just going to be so, so gorgeous. This is the north-facing side of the house. Our kitchen window is over there. So we just had a really small flower bed, but just 2 or 3 weeks ago, we expanded and added this whole flower bed right here. And we put in a lot of weigela, encore azaleas, spirea. We have some sunshine ligustrum in the back there. And this is going to just be a gorgeous low maintenance bed for me, because I wanted something to look at when I was looking out my window. I found this little blue juniper lollipop tree I haven't put in the ground yet, so it's going to go in here. I want to put some hydrangeas, and it's just going to be really, really beautiful. I do have this Olivia Austin rose right here. I'm going to transplant further out in the flower bed, but I planted these Let's Dance Skyview hydrangeas right here. I've got 2 of them, and then I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I'm going to put this third one in the ground right here, plant the boxwoods, and just continue working on this bed. It's going to be gorgeous. I have some pop star hydrangeas that I put in the ground 2 or 3 years ago now, lining this area, and they are one of my absolute favorites. They've performed so well from the very beginning. But just a really pretty shaded area right here. And then we just circle back around towards the front of the house. And this is where I have my row of Bobo hydrangeas and my double pink knockout roses, more vinca, and all of that's going to grow in and mature. So this is it. Well, Janie, thank you so much for taking this tour with us. It was so fun getting to show you around. And if you're ever interested, we have a YouTube channel, Samantha Miller Diaries, where we're documenting the gardening journey and all of our DIY projects and builds and things that we do here on our property. And I'd love for you all to join us So thank you so much and happy gardening.